Hey everybody, welcome to the TRICHOMES hashitout podcast. I am your host, RJ Balde. In this episode, I'll be talking to Steve Lopez about how his company is continuing to provide safe access to cannabis products in the communities in which they serve. We'll also talk about the potential for cannabis legislation with a new upcoming presidential administration and more. Without further ado, it's time to hash it out. My guest today is the Chief Executive Officer of the Colorado-based family-owned cannabis company, The Green Solution. Welcome to the show, Steve Lopez. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for sitting down and having this chat. Now, how's your year been? We're closing in. We're in the last month of the year. It's been a special one, for lack of a better word. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it's definitely had a lot of ups and downs. I tell people whenever you run any company, you never know what's going to happen from year to year, what your challenges will be. And, I had gotten to the point where I think I had seen everything. I've been through housing crisis, .com bubbles, 9/11, recessions, but I've never seen a pandemic. So this one, there's no rule book at all of how you approach that. So when it first started really started hitting the airwaves and people really started taking it a lot more serious in March, our sales went in a really bad direction where it was very concerning. Fortunately, a lot of stuff that our brand is really known for, and sometimes we had been chastised for having too sterile of a looking environment, white everywhere, really clean stores, express windows, kiosks, a lot of the stuff that we had done that was not for the pandemic actually served us really well. And then we saw this massive boost when we hit April, where we saw a lot of folks come back to us because of how clean and sterile our facilities look. And then also we changed our packaging out about 2 years ago also. So it eliminates a lot of touches from humans. So it's more of an automated process. And then each package of flower is individually packaged. So that is not touched at all in the stores from production all the way to the time you take it home. It's a safe product for you. So we had a lot of folks that were still doing the bud jars. You didn't want to put people's faces inside of a bud jar and sniff it during a pandemic. So a lot of our customers said they really appreciate it because they didn't know how many people had their faces in that bud jar earlier in the day. And they love it. They love our quality. They love how sterile we are. And then how serious we took it too. So from April on, we have just been on a tear with business. So we grew about 20% this year.
Wow.
On the line. So it was great.
Wow. Yeah. Tell me about how you got in the cannabis space, because I understand that you've worked in the worlds of like market research. I understand you were with iModerate, you worked with PlayPal, which was like a health and wellness sort of like digital software sort of company. How did you then go from there to working with The Green Solution?
Sure. When the industry started first coming out, I had a lot of opportunities. I've got a lot of business contacts. I was kind of known for the guy that you bring in that turns around companies that are underperforming. So, everybody kind of avoided marijuana when it first became legalized. Yeah. So the federal government, you really didn't know what the ramifications would be for being in a business that was recognized locally, kind of pseudo, and definitely not recognized by the federal government. So my risk, I was a little risk averse at the beginning, like a lot of folks that were in the corporate world. But then I was with a company that we sold to another venture capital firm in 2014. Mm-hmm. Then I took some time off, just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do next. And I love new industries. I love being a pioneer. I love coming up with new things. And that's why I started PlayPal. And that's a software development company that focuses on getting kids up and moving while they're playing video games and can monitor their health and then incentivize them to exercise, and loved it. Total passion piece. But then we moved all of our production overseas with one of my co-founders who lives in Pakistan. So that freed up my days. And then it was really, what do you want to do? I was highly fascinated with market research. So joined iModerate for a while, worked with companies like Lowe's and Amazon, and really looked at how they do a lot of customer research. And then the boys reached out to me and told me they were looking for a CEO. And I was like, this is at the time in my life where I'm definitely willing to jump in there and be a part of this great industry. So it's been the most fun I've ever had in my career. Every day is different, learning something new all the time, burgeoning industry. And you're really seeing the talent level too now. The types of folks that we're able to attract talent-wise has gone up exponentially too. Even from when I started, I've been in the business now just over 3 years. But you can see that a lot of the talent's coming off the sidelines. They're willing to join. And so we've been able to just develop an incredible team, and they're really driving a lot of our sales. But what we really focus on is our customer experience, making sure that when a customer comes in, it is the perfect customer experience for them. So you bring in a really good team that's all focused on just the customer, and you can make a lot of fun things happen.
Totally. And you joined the Green Solution team in 2018, if I have that right?
Correct.
2018. So it's been about 2 years.
February 2018, so it'll actually be 3 years in February.
Okay, right on. Nice. Congratulations. Now,
thank you.
Joining in 2018, I can imagine that you didn't foresee 2020 being the way that it was. So what has it been like for you, man, to deal with something so unprecedented within the first 2 years of you being the CEO of this company?
Well, fortunately, I've been the CEO of other companies. So
sure,
it's really about your teams and how well you're communicating. And I always say, the team you want to build is the team that's able to execute. Anybody can tell you what your problems are. You can talk to anybody within your company and they'll tell you what's going on. But what really makes a great team is a team that's able to execute. So that's really how we focus on things. And then it's a high level of communication during execution. So with everything changing as quickly as it is, we really had a team that was ready to execute on anything. And it was changing daily for us a lot of times too, guidance that we were getting from our state and local agencies. We had to make sure that we were adhering to the state as well as local guidelines, which sometimes were, because they were moving as quick as we were too. Right. We were sometimes in conflict with each other. So, that's where we've got a really good relationship with all the municipalities that we're in, as well as the state too. The state really views us as the way that a marijuana company should be ran. We are strictly adhere to all the regulation and compliance that's out there. We also have a great working relationship with the MED. So we let them know what's actually going on within the industry and how some of these initiatives that they have brought up, how that really affects the real world when it actually goes to implementing at the business level. Mm-hmm. So we've got a great relationship with them. And it was about communication, both externally as well as internally. So we went from everything to being closed for 2 hours. The city of Denver closed down all liquor and all marijuana companies. Yeah. Then there was a huge public outcry. So that lasted 2 hours. Then they changed their mind and said, okay, we'll let you have alcohol and marijuana back as an essential service, which was, so we went from shutting down to curbside ordering, to social distancing, to masks, to PPE on site, not just PPE gloves, masks, but also dividers on our cash windows. There was so many changes. There was easily 100 different things that we had to do at different levels, from our retail to also we make all of our own products too. So we've got a full MIP where we produce edibles, concentrates, cartridges. You can go down the line. We produce 3 different line brands currently, just internally. And then we have third-party parties that we work with also that are in our retail, but we also do some production for them too. So we had to really take care of the stores, make sure that the public was completely safe. And then we had to take care of our own employees, at retail as well as throughout the entire company. And you've got completely different types of departments, from cultivation, which is
Right.
you've got an outdoor grow that's 150 acres, so you can spread people out there pretty easily, to a smaller grow that's 28,000 indoor square foot, to a MIP, to retail, to corporate. So we've got just under 800 employees at the Green Solution now. So there was a lot of implementation of safety. Fortunately, like I said, we had already gotten ahead of that curve just by where our focus was getting the best possible product out to folks. And that's a high level of safety. Mm-hmm. So we already had a lot of these initiatives underway. So that really helped us adopt much quicker than we saw even our competitors.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think it was about 2 years ago that you mentioned that the Green Solution switched over to this special packaging process, which eliminates a lot of the human contact of your products. And so, yeah, you were kind of ahead of the game, ahead of the curve when it came to pandemic preparedness. So can you tell me more about that process, how you switched over to that process, and what was the fuel for switching over to that process? It's serendipitous now that
sure.
Yeah.
It goes back to our guiding principles of making sure that we have the best possible customer experience possible. And a big piece of that is the quality of your product. So from freshness to safety to being accurate with your weights, making sure everything meets compliance on the labeling so people can really understand what they're purchasing. So at first, when we first rolled it out, a lot of people missed the bud jars because they liked actually touching, feeling, and seeing the product itself. But in Colorado, we're in such a dry environment, you keep opening those big bud bowls, and what you were doing was drying out the flower. So what this gave us was the ability to meet all the criteria that I outlined earlier, and keeps that freshness also because we inject it with gases to keep it fresh. They're all natural. So when it stays in there, our flour stays good in those packages for up to 6 months. So, and we move our flour, it moves in the stores. It doesn't sit longer than 2 weeks anyways, but you can take it home in Colorado and then you can have different sizes also. So instead of getting one big ounce package, what you've got is several eighths, and then you can open up what you're using and not let that get dried out or get dilapidated or start to break down. And then it's also safe. That's the other big piece of it too. When you look at our production process, there's never skin contact with any of the buds. We've got our folks that they wear all their PPE. And then once it goes into that package, then it's sealed and there's no way to contaminate it at that point, all the way to the store, to the time you buy it, to the time you get it at home.
Mm-hmm. That's so fortunate of you guys to make that decision to switch. And you mentioned that people sort of missed the human contact of it at first, but I'm sure now they're grateful for it in this day and age.
It brought people back to us.
Yeah,
because it wasn't too hard to figure out when everybody's mask has to be socially distanced. Then you go into the dispensary, you take off your mask and shove your face into a bud bowl.
Right.
You got all these guys with long beards and who knows what's falling off of there. Right. It doesn't seem very safe. So it really served us well. And it obviously was a large investment, but we always take the long-term view on everything that we do with any of our business decisions and initiatives. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, that one paid off really well. But it started with the right idea, and it's always based around our customers and providing them the best products available to them in a very easy educational place to procure it.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And there's this interesting balance, I would say, in the cannabis community in particular, because the very nature of cannabis is something very communal, right? It brings people together in close circles. You're passing things around, you're sharing conversation, you're having, you're very up close with one another. So I can imagine that.
We made sure that puff, puff, don't pass.
Exactly. So, see, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You're going from the communal thing where a lot of people shared to where it's definitely, hey, everybody has to have their own individual product themselves so that we don't harm each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's this interesting mental shift where you kind of have to realize that the lack of communal gathering is what we're doing to show care for the community, right? Like we're not gathering because we care about one another. And, you know, the less we gather now, the sooner we can get back to puff, puff, pass, hopefully. And, you know, this can just be a memory in the history books. Although I think 2020 would be its own.
About too is how much is going to stick that came out of this that people actually like. Will they continue to really stay focused on the safety of the products, but also they can see the quality of the product so much better the way that it's packaged too. It doesn't degrade, doesn't break down. When you open that package, it's a nice tight bud. It's not a bunch of shake everywhere because it's old and dried out.
Right.
So, you know, the question really becomes to us is, you know, when does normal ever really come back, or how much of this stays? You know, we also have our express windows where you can order online if you don't want to go into the store floor. So you can order online, either in our lobby with our kiosks. So we have kiosks in all of our stores, so you can order off the kiosk, or you can order off your phone or off your computer at home and then just come by and pick it up. And that way you just come into our lobby, you go to the express window, you pick up your order, you pay for it, and then you're out. We have a lot of people that have been taking advantage of that since the pandemic really started getting fully adopted. People recognized and understood it. So we've really seen that we're to the point now where over 25% of our business is coming through online ordering.
Oh, wow. Right on. Right on. Yeah. People are willing to adapt when it comes to cannabis. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it gave them a lot more convenience and safety also, once again, because then you don't have to go into the store floor if you don't want to, wait in line, and then be around a lot of other folks. Even though you're socially distanced, you have people at different levels of what they feel safe with. Sure. So this gave them another option also. But it also helped us out tremendously when we had to do curbside. So the state of Colorado all had to do curbside. Was the only way that you were allowed to stay open. So you couldn't actually let people into the building. So we had to move everything out into the front of our buildings. And, you know, there was some risk associated with that, too. That goes back to when we're talking with government agencies. Like we're transacting in not the safest environment. And they recognize that onto. And then we were able to do transactions into the lobby. And then when we moved back to opening the sales floors as well. So, and like I said, there was a lot of things that were moving at that point. That we were able to have that communication back with the folks that were making the rules too. So, but it goes back to, once again, you know, making investments in convenience for our customers. And then it served incredibly well for the pandemic. So we had a lot of companies that you weren't able to order online. So they were getting phone calls is how they were doing online ordering. And fortunately, we've got a call center also because we are really about our customer service and making sure that if you need to talk to somebody, you can pick up the phone, call somebody, answer any questions you have. And then even if you have orders or if you want to check on an order or you don't have a computer, you can even call our call center because we've got some folks that have been with us for 10 years that they love us. And we actually know them by name when they call the call center. We're a little older, don't have a smartphone, don't have a computer. And so we actually take the orders for them online too. So once again, making sure we take care of all of our customers. But that helped us tremendously. And then we continue to see that grow also. So that 25%, we expect that to continue to grow for the online order. And then we're going to be going into delivery going into 2021. And that whole workflow and same process will also help us with that new initiative.
Got it. Okay. So if I have this right, I could be wrong on this. Cannabis delivery is, as of now, not permitted in Colorado. Is that right?
Correct. So January 1st, there are some cities that have voted to allow it.
Okay.
So it's not like the entire state of Colorado is going to be open to delivery. Once again, you've got so many different municipalities. So you've got some folks that saying it's okay to do delivery, but you've got other municipalities that border those and say, hey, you can't allow delivery in our cities. And then you've got others that say, even though it's being generated out of another city, you're allowed to deliver into our city.
Oh, so interesting.
A lot of government agencies trying to figure out where they play in this. And then we've got to understand that and make sure that we're taking care of those customers in those areas.
Got it. Yeah, that's not too dissimilar from here in California, where I'm at, specifically in California. the city's not too welcoming of delivery services. So in the past, um, just a funny anecdote is I get delivery every now and again, from a very popular, like the most popular prominent delivery service here in California. Doesn't operate in this city. And
Yeah.
so I have to go literally like 0.3 miles over the border into like the nearest Taco Bell. And then that's where I meet up my delivery driver. And it's weird because
Oh,
like this is something that's like it's all legal. What we're doing, like it's completely legal. But like the fact that I'm still in this Taco Bell parking lot and I'm meeting up this dude in a Chevy Impala, and he's like handing me the product like through the drive-through or through his window, like not even getting out. Like it still very much feels like something pre-legalization. Um,
oh, yeah.
and it is just so funny that like people can just draw these arbitrary lines around their municipalities and sort of just block out certain services. I can imagine that creates for you on a business end a lot to keep track of going into 2021 when you're going to start this.
Sure. And we, once again, it goes back to a great team that has the ability to execute. So we've got subject matter experts. One person that we have on staff, she just makes sure that we're ahead of compliance and regulation, making sure that we're doing everything. And then we have great relationships with all the municipalities that we're in, and even some municipalities that we're not in, so that we're just a voice at the table, so that they look to us for guidance and advice too of how we see things. So we've been really fortunate with that. However, that's just one of the things in this industry that you've got to always deal with is all the rules and regulations of each municipality, which are different than the state. And then, when you look at the company who just purchased us, Columbia Care, where we merged with them, they're on a national level. So they have to know each state and each municipalities in those states to really make sure they are staying within those guidelines. It's just a great group of people that's their only job is making sure that we're doing everything right when it comes to the compliance of a municipality.
Totally. Do you feel, you've worked in different sectors, different industries. Do you feel that when it comes to dealing with, the sometimes day-to-day changes of a pandemic, do you feel like working in the cannabis space sort of lends itself to having a greater sense of adaptability? Because, the cannabis industry in and of itself is very subject to nebulousness.
Never-ending change, right?
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly.
You're trying to evolve this industry. You're trying to get government agencies they usually move pretty slow, but this was really pushed by the people to get them to really push a lot of this. And now you're starting to see it at a national level as well. We're obviously going to have a new president. So, who knows what his take's going to be on everything, and then what rules and regulations will be passed under his administration. So that's just on the national level. And then we obviously watch our state level as well, and then local level too. But one thing that you got to get down pretty quickly is adaptability in this business, because it is constant, never-ending change. You never know where it's going to come from too. So we've been really fortunate with our size too. Some of these changes they make can be devastating to a mom and pa. Fortunately, we have the resources to stay up and compliant, but a lot of those mom and pas really have to make a decision if they invest or if they just don't comply.
Right. And you mentioned that, there's a new administration coming in January. How do you think that fares for cannabis legislation on a federal level? Do you have more hope for that in the coming years? There was also news that came out just this morning that on a global level, the United Nations voted to approve removing cannabis from Schedule 4 of their 1961 convention. So that's some good news there. That was a recommendation from the WHO that the United States government did back. So yeah, how do you see cannabis legislation on a federal level moving into this next administration?
Well, I really with this last administration that's currently in, we were just hoping that they would be more business friendly to what we're doing. It's kind of ironic now. Also, we're seeing everything on the state level, but not just within our state, where people are really having a major shortfall with taxes because you've had so many companies go out of business, and they've actually taken the marijuana taxes and looking to redistribute them in different areas of need that they have where they're having the budget shortfalls. So you can see that the states are obviously becoming very dependent on us, but really what pushed this movement more than anything else was the people. And each year that we get away from, when we first kicked off in 2010 was, eliminating that stigma more and more. Now you see, I think it's over 60% of people in the United States are for legalization of marijuana. They realized the war on drugs was an abysmal failure. It ended up, incarcerating just unimaginable amounts of people for such petty little crimes of what they were convicted of. So you're really seeing this as a societal push in America where people are really driving this. So it's really a question, does the administration respond to what the people want? The people want it. Question is, will they do it? So Joe Biden President-elect Joe Biden has been a long opponent of drugs, and he put marijuana in that because it's easy to put it in that pigeonhole. And then you had the 80s of, just say no. Yep. And then everybody said, no, these commercials are just a bunch of lies because when I did it, I didn't put a shotgun in my mouth and squeeze the
right.
They were the most absurd educational pieces that weren't based in reality. And so as soon as you tried it, you're like, okay, well, that was a total fraud. They've been lying to me. How can I trust them now? But what we're really hopeful with President-elect Joe Biden getting in there and his administration is that, one, they won't be a barrier, and then two, that they will do what the people want. And it sounds like they're going to go down the avenue of doing what the people want, and at least trying to decriminalize it, not making it legalized, but decriminalizing and then recognizing states' rights. If they recognize states' rights, that gives us the ability to actually take advantage of the tax breaks a normal business would get. And you would also get the ability to use the banking services as well that any other normal company would get as well. So we're really excited to see what we do. We're pushing hard on the States' Rights Act that the people have spoken in these states. They want this. They've done it. They've implemented. They made it happen. You just need to honor that also as the president of the United States, honor those states' wishes. So that's what our hope is. And it's looking like that's got some momentum to it. So that's a first step. But I don't know. And I wouldn't consider myself an expert. It's just conjecture on my part, just from Biden's past, is to look at President-elect Biden is, I don't think he's going to be a huge agent of change, but I don't think he's going to be a barrier. And hopefully, if he does the States' Rights Act, that gives us more tools to be effective.
Totally. Yeah. And, you're completely right. The people have spoken. They're there's a majority of people in this nation that support legalization. All of the states that had some form of legalization, whether it be recreational or medical, on the ballot for 2020, all passed their measures, which, was something that would be, shocking even 10 years ago if every single state that had a cannabis on the ballot, passed it. That wouldn't be something that you would hear of.
It's not just at a national level. Now, if you look at North America, you've got Canada. They went to full legalization. You're looking at Mexico doing the same now. You're hearing other countries that are starting to identify it. And Canada is even taking a bigger step with decriminalizing all drugs, is the latest conversation that just came out this week.
Yep.
So you're seeing a lot of momentum, not just within the United States, but within globally also. So it's an exciting time to see this. This prohibition, it was so ridiculous from the get-go, and for it to last 100 years. Now you can really truly study this plant and really, we've already unlocked so many miracles out of it. We probably have, 65% of our folks that come in for rec are using it for side effects of other medications or helping themselves with all types of ailments so that they have a much better quality of life. And that's what's so inspiring of it, is you see people come in and they talk to us all the time about how it's changed their life. And and their quality of life now. They're so much happier and they can live the life that they wanted to. So, now that we have the ability to really start tearing it apart and studying it, you're just going to see more and more applications for this and how it's going to make everybody's life better.
Yeah, totally. You can't argue with the cold hard evidence of seeing the improvement in people's quality of living with something as simple as a plant that grows in the ground. I've had the opportunity on the show to speak to individuals who for example have been prescribed dozens of different pharmaceutical pills or cocktails of medications that were masking their side effects up until they discovered cannabis. And this one product not only replaced their cocktail of pharmaceuticals, but performed so much better for them in not just masking their symptoms, but actually mitigating the effects of them.
And that's just the same plant that's been around for thousands of years.
Right.
Imagine really looking at the genetics of it, being able to study it. And then you could even start genetically modifying at points to really make sure that it's dialed in for very specific symptoms. And it's funny, I have chronic widespread pain. I was diagnosed, and I think it was 2012 that I was diagnosed with that. Mm-hmm. Of course, they want to load you up with all the painkillers and everything else.
Of course.
But, my doctor's like, you should really visit a dispensary and talk to a bud tender as if they're a pharmacist. Tell them exactly what your ailments are, and they can try to help you out. And we have so many people, even to this day, that are still being recommended by their physicians. Come in, talk to these folks, tell them what your problems are, and they'll get you something around. So problems with sleep, we start going with an indica that can really help your body relax. I've got ADD. We can give you a sativa that can kind of slow your mind down, but give you a ton of energy so that you can be creative still.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so many applications. And like I said, it's still the same plant that's been around for thousands of years. But now we have the opportunity to really even unlock more of the benefits and know exactly, all right, we've got a controlled experience. We know that the strains that we grow over 50 strains in our facilities, we're vertically integrated.
Mm-hmm.
So within those 50 strains, you start to see where people really utilize them for certain ailments. And then as we continue to study that, that's the other great thing is Columbia Care, who purchased us,
mm-hmm.
they've got a full-time doctor on it that's studying it right now and looking at the different types of applications. And some of the things that are coming out with are just completely innovative that takes away from, Western medicines. This is ridiculous. Just do this. And it's so much better for you.
Right. Yeah. And the proof is literally right before your very eyes. You can't argue with it. I've heard so many personal stories from people, and hearing those personal anecdotes of people really finding relief from cannabis it's so inspiring, and it's such uplifting news to see the walls of the war on drugs and prohibition continue to crumble. Like you said, it's a damn shame that it lasted as long as it did, but I guess better late than never.
The elimination of the stigma too, I joke all the time that my family's made me the lotion king of South Jeffco where I live, because even my father, who was completely anti-marijuana, he's 73 years old and he's got a lot of old injuries and he's got some nerve pain and muscle pains. But he calls me about a week before he's out of his lotion because he needs to bring that inflammation down. And he knows what it's like living without it. But now he's telling his brothers and sisters about it. I've got my aunts and uncles that are using it for pain relief too. So it is, and what makes it great is it's very easy to get up in the morning and know that you're going to be able to impact people's lives in such a positive way. And to look back at how this beautiful plant was framed for such a negative purpose, and then to have prohibition on it, now for it to be unleashed again, and you see that, it's only going to continue to erode that stigma that used to be associated with it, because now you've got your grandma, you've got your parents, yourself, and then you've got grown children over 21 that are also, matter of fact, I read something on millennials the other day that was saying that 68% of folks, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was 68% of millennials would rather go to a dispensary than their doctor's office because they get quicker relief and it's much cheaper than their copay.
Snaps for that. Yes, indeed.
Through like the colds, right?
Yep. Totally. Yeah. There's really something for everyone. That's another sort of inspiring thing to see. Is it's getting into all age demographics now, even up to the senior citizen community now is being able to find relief through different products, whether it be topicals or tinctures or edibles or things like that. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's we're so fortunate that we get to sort of be on the forefront of this. And to see
really
that.
Look at that as being the stewards of that. What a great responsibility that is to be able to bring it to the general public and really show the benefits of it. I mean, it's really life-changing for so many folks. That's why I said it's so easy to get up in the morning, and this industry is so much fun because you truly know that you're impacting people's quality of life. And that's exhilarating.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Now, what do you have planned? Or rather, what are you looking forward to the most to close out this year? Again, we're in the beginning of December now. You mentioned you're going to start rolling out delivery services in select places in Colorado starting in 2021. What are you looking forward to going forward in the near future?
Well, we have so much stuff going on all the time. And that's what's great. When you build a team that's really built to execute, they're really focusing on their department. So when you look at our products, we're always bringing out new products. We just brought out a brand new line of sour gummies that the market just loves. So we've got a lot of folks that have been coming in for those. We just brought on some new brands as well. So we brought on the Blues Brothers.
Nice.
They are fantastic company to deal with. So we had Jim Belushi come out for a week.
I saw that. Yeah.
He came out for a week and we went to the stores and we really worked with him. And I was absolutely shocked. I've worked with Hollywood types before, but that guy works his butt off and he's willing to do anything because he really believes in the product itself. He really believes it would have saved his brother's life had it been legalized back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So, he's obviously inspired to bring it to the masses too for a very personal reason. And then when we launched it into our stores, he brought Dan Aykroyd out with him as well. Yeah. So we had Dan Aykroyd and Jim Belushi out. It was one of those surreal moments in my life where I grew up a huge Blues Brothers fan because I thought it was one of the greatest movies ever.
Yes. All
the great music, the chase scenes, the whole nine, the comedy, and then how many great people were in it. But I'm sitting in the back of the Bluesmobile and I look in the front and there's the Blues Brothers driving the car. And wow. How did we end up here? So that was incredible. They've got a great product too. And it's really the same mindset too. It's really designed to help people and make sure that it's top of the line quality, top of the line safety, a consistent experience. And Jim is working absolutely tirelessly on helping promote this. So we found a great partner with him. We think that's only going to continue to expand. And then they're going to bring on more products as well into the next year. And then we're also bringing in Toast into our stores too. Nice. We'll be producing their pre-rolls here locally as well as the Belushi pre-rolls here locally. But those two new brands we're really excited about that. We've got some more products that are coming out. Everything continues to evolve. So we've got a live resin that we just launched about 3 months ago that's just been selling like mad. So you're seeing a lot of the market move over to live products. So we've invested into a lot of equipment over the last year just into our production facilities, just with new equipment. I think we spent close to $1 million of the latest, greatest equipment so that we can really control our concentrates and, the spectrum that we're trying to really pull from out there and isolate and be able to make sure that our products, no matter what the market moves into, that we're always the top shelf brand that's out there. It's always going to be safe. So you don't have to worry about that because that's the green solution, but you're also going to get the best type of product out there too. And then we tier out our stores as well. So it doesn't matter if you want to go in and buy a joint or if you want to go out and buy a high-end ounce of flower. We've got a product that meets every price tier. So we have very diverse customer base. we have people that come in once a day and buy a joint. We have other people that they come in and they buy our bonsai line, which is our highest flower that is in our smallest cultivation facility. And they just love the heck out of those plants to get them just absolutely perfect. So that bonsai meets that tier level and those product standards. So
That's awesome.
When you've got all those going on, we're constantly evolving. The one constant at the Green Solution is that we're always evolving to meet our customers' needs. So going into 2021, we're so excited because we brought so many people back into the fold, came back for the safety, realized how much the product's gone up too in quality because we're always improving it. So we really try to set the standard in here, but that's what we want to continue to do is make sure that we have the best customer experience for our customers. So the principle never changes, but all those things around it to address your customer that's in the center of it is that's the challenge. But that's what's so fun because like when we delivered our live resin out there, the feedback we got from our folks was just incredible. And I look at the reviews every morning and it's funny, we'll get like 100 5-star reviews. And then
Sure.
if I get one star, we look at that, we call that person up, want to find out exactly why, what happened. We got to know, we got to fix it because we can never have that because it goes against what our principle is making sure we got the best customer experience. And sometimes I got to catch myself and say, well, this week, we had 5,001 stars and we have 5,000 visitors a day, right?
Uh-huh.
So we had 5,001 stars this week and I'm sorry, 5 stars. And then we had
good.
two 1 stars, right?
Gotcha.
And sometimes you can't just focus on that and realize overall we're doing well, but you can never take it for advantage because if you don't stay evolving, competition will catch up. And that's been our big thing here is always make sure that we're one step ahead of the competition. So going into 2021 is protecting our brand, but that continuing that innovation within our products. But not just the products themselves, but also when you come into our stores that you feel safe. From the time you come into our parking lot, you feel safe. You don't have to wait in the car while your friend goes. And you can go into and experience cannabis for the first time and be educated with it. Someone's going to take their time with you and answer all your questions. And you don't have to feel embarrassed that you don't know much about this plant. We're here to help you. And that's one of the great things that we have is that we have customers for life because you are always patient with me. Whenever there's new products, I can ask, you guys fully educate me. I know exactly what I want and what's important to me. So when you help educate me, then I can make better choices.
Totally. I love that. It's so important to maintain a welcoming atmosphere for people because, for some people who might be kind of curious, for example, and they want to sort of take the dive into this, it can be difficult for them to find a jumping off point that isn't so intimidating.
Well, the first time I went, I won't give the exact date because I was still employed by another company at that time.
Gotcha.
But when I went there, I had the sunglasses on. My wife had her sunglasses on.
Yeah.
We snuck out of the car and didn't know what to expect at all. And the first place I went to was a Green Solution because they had the same electric company that installed my last company that I was working with. They did a build out on a 100,000 square foot facility that we had just moved into. And the Green Solution had the same guys. Hey, you should really come check this out. So when we went in there, we had the glasses on. We were afraid. I had about 200 employees. Like, somebody's going to see me. This is going to be bad. But I was shocked at how professional it was. And it was far different from anything that I imagined. And the level of professionalism that I was greeted, I was like, these guys are doing it right. It wasn't and there's nothing wrong with the tie-dyes in the walls. And you have people that really enjoy that environment.
Sure.
But what we wanted was a welcoming environment so that the kind of curious could come in and feel like, that was a really good experience. It was a lot more professional than I thought. When I went in, the first thing I thought of, this looks like an Apple store. It's so clean, technology to it. People are so educational and performance, So, I fell in love with the company from just that first visit. And then when we started having conversations about me joining the team, there was no other company that I would even consider. So when they called, it's like, well, the Green Solution, I will definitely talk to, and turned into a great opportunity for all of us.
That's rad, man. I love to hear that. And I sincerely hope that y'all continue the good work. continue cultivating this beautiful sense of community and taking care of your people. It's important now more than ever, and it's essential now more than ever. And from one blues brother to another, from one soul man to another, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your perspective, and I wish you all the best moving forward into 2021.
Well, appreciate your time and inviting us on here. It's always fun to be able to talk about something that you're highly passionate, and we have just got the best team that's really focused on our customers. So we're so committed to our community and our customers that, like I said, it's not hard getting out of bed every morning. You know, you're going to go affect change every day and help remove part of the stigma and help enrich in people's life. So appreciate your time and what you're doing. Also, it's good for more of these conversations to happen so that we can continue to erode this stigma.
Absolutely, man. And hopefully, sometime in the very near future, we could have a Hash It Out version 2, perhaps in person on site somewhere at a green solution. That'd be dope.
We've got one of our grows that we call the Field of Dreams, and the Blues Brothers, they set a band up in the middle of the grow and sung to the plants.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we can send you that video, and it was incredible, right, to see the Blues Brothers perform live. But we call it the Field of Dreams because we have over 50,000 plants, and we're tiered 5 levels up. So you're engulfed by that plant and the beauty of it and how they're growing, and then see that much buds. So we always joke that if you really want to overwhelm somebody and have them an awe moment, take them over to the Field of Dreams indoor grow and see what's going on. So we could do a podcast out there in the middle of it all. And
totally. Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to rain check you on that one because that sounds super rad. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right on, Steve. Hey, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
My thanks again to Steve Lopez for joining me. If you are a member of the cannabis community and have a story you want to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can reach the show at hashitout@TRICHOMES.com. You can help others find the show by taking a moment to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at TRICHOMES.com and following us on all social media. Hash It Out is produced by David Fortin and presented by TRICHOMES.com. I'm your host, RJ Balde. I'll catch you next time.